Let me tell you something right now. You weren't born to blend in. You were born to walk in the room and shift the temperature. See, most people walk in and say, "Hi, hello, how are you?" But that ain't how you make waves. That's how you stay invisible. You want to shake up the world. You want people to remember your name. Then stop walking in with that weak little hello energy. Walk in with purpose, with confidence. With energy that says, "You're welcome. I just brought the whole vibe with me." Because real talk people don't respond to what you say first. They respond to how you make them feel. And if your presence don't say, "I'm here and I came to win," then baby, you just another name on the list. You want to stand out in the interview room. You want people to lean in when you speak. You want the room to shift when you arrive. Then don't walk in with a greeting. Walk in with a declaration. Let them know the moment you arrive, "I'm not here to take part. I'm here to take over." When you walk in with that level of energy, they don't just notice you, they remember you. And let me tell you something. Remembered people get opportunities. Remembered people get the call back. Remembered people don't chase the world follows them. So starting today, no more hi. Walk in like you're the headline, not the footnote. Walk in with energy. Walk in with faith. Walk in with fire, because the moment you stop just saying hello, you start saying, "I am him, I am her, I am that one." You know what the problem is with most people today? They walk into the room and the first thing they do is try to disappear. They don't say it out loud, but their energy whispers, "Please don't notice me." They come in soft. They come in unsure. They say hello like it's a question, like they're asking permission to exist in the room. But let me tell you something. If you want to make people remember your name, if you want the room to stop when you walk in, if you want folks to lean forward when you open your mouth, you better stop walking in like a footnote. Stop saying hello like that's enough. See, you weren't born to be wallpaper. You weren't born to blend in with the crowd. You were born to walk in and shift the atmosphere. You were born to bring something with you, your presence, your vibe, your fire. And if you're just saying hello, you're leaving all of that at the door. You think people remember the ones who quietly mumble a greeting and sit in the corner. Let me save you the suspense. They don't. The world doesn't make space for people who whisper through life. The world remembers the bold. The world remembers the ones who walk in with something to say. Now, I'm not talking about arrogance. I'm not talking about being loud for the sake of noise. I'm talking about presence. I'm talking about energy. I'm talking about walking into a room and carrying yourself like you belong there, not because someone gave you permission, but because you've got a purpose. Because people don't respond to your words first, they respond to your energy. They don't remember what you said in that first moment, they remember how you made them feel. So if your presence doesn't say, "I've arrived," then your words are already working from behind. When I say don't say hello, I don't mean be rude. I mean replace that timid hello with something that carries weight. Say, "It's good to see y'all. Let's make something happen today." Say, "You ready for greatness, 'cause I brought it with me." Say, "I don't know what you were expecting, but what you got was me, and that's the upgrade." You see what I'm saying? Lead with intention. Lead with fire. Walk in like the meeting started when you showed up. And this applies everywhere: the job interview, the networking event, the audition, the first date, the elevator ride with the CEO. That first impression, that's your commercial, that's your trailer. That's your opening scene. You better make it count. Nobody watches a boring trailer and says, "Oh yeah, I'll buy a ticket." No, they want to feel something. They want to believe they're about to witness something real. That's how people respond to you. When you walk in and you got your shoulders back, your chin up, your energy right, people notice. And they don't just notice, they start calculating. Who is that? What do they do? Why do I want to be around them? And just like that, you've made yourself unforgettable. You haven't even said much yet, but you've already shifted the room. Let me tell you something I've learned the hard way. The world isn't going to slow down and hand you moments. You have to take them. You have to carve out your presence and own it. Too many folks waiting on permission, waiting for the perfect moment, waiting until they feel more confident. That moment may never come. Confidence isn't something you wait for, it's something you step into. And when you stop leading with fear and start leading with fire, you change everything. People sense it. People respond to it. You start attracting opportunities, attention, respect not because you begged for it, but because you commanded it. That's the difference between saying, "Hi, how are you?" and saying, "Let me tell you what I came to do today." You've got a gift. Maybe you sing, maybe you sell, maybe you create, maybe you solve problems better than anyone in the room. But if you walk in like your gift is a secret, guess what? Nobody's gonna unwrap it. The world's too busy. The room is too full. The stage is too crowded. If you don't believe in your own voice, nobody else will. So what you say matters, but how you show up when you say it, that's the key. Stop saying hello like a whisper. Start speaking like a declaration. Let people feel you before you speak. Let them see you coming and wonder, what's their story? Let your presence speak before your pitch. Walk into every room like your name is on the building, even if it ain't. Yet, you want people to go crazy for you. You want them to remember you. Stop giving them the same tired energy they've seen 100 times today. Bring something different. Bring truth. Bring heat. Bring confidence. Bring yourself, the real you, not the filtered, down, watered down version that plays small so other people feel comfortable. Nobody gets excited over average. Nobody gets hype over safe. They go crazy for authentic. They go crazy for bold. They go crazy for real. So the next time you walk into that room, don't say hello. Say, "I'm here, let's go." Say, "This moment just got better because I showed up." And believe it when you say it. Because if you don't believe it, no one else will. But if you do, if you carry yourself like you know exactly who you are, then watch what happens. Watch how people look at you different. Watch how they listen closer. Watch how the room bends toward you like sunlight to a window. Watch them go crazy, not because you're trying to be someone else, but because you finally showed up as you. No mask, no filter, just power, just presence, just purpose. And all of that starts when you stop saying hello and start saying, "Watch what happens next." Let me tell you something that might change your entire life. Confidence is a magnet. Confidence is one of the most misunderstood, underestimated, and underused tools a person can have. People think confidence is about arrogance, about ego, about being loud or showy, and that's where they get it all wrong. Confidence isn't about walking around yelling, "I'm the best." Confidence is about walking into a room and not needing to say it because people already feel it. See, confidence doesn't mean you think you're better than everybody else. It means you're not measuring yourself against anybody in the first place. Confidence says, "I know who I am, I know what I bring, and I don't need your approval to keep being it." That kind of energy. That's magnetic. That's the kind of presence people feel before you say a word. That's the kind of person people want to be around, want to follow, want to work with, want to remember. The truth is, most people walk into rooms trying to shrink, trying not to disturb, trying to slide into the background like a ghost. They think if they're quiet enough, if they don't make waves, they'll be accepted. But here's the truth they don't teach you in school, people. Don't chase neutral energy. People aren't moved by someone who plays small. People don't say, "Wow, they really impressed me by disappearing." You want to draw people in. You want to make them lean forward when you talk. You want your presence to have gravity. Then stop waiting to be confident and start acting like you already are. That's the secret. Confidence is not something you get handed. It's something you decide to carry, and when you do, everything shifts. You ever notice how some people walk into the room and suddenly the whole place feels different? They're not the loudest, they're not the flashiest, but something about them makes you want to watch, listen, take note. That's what I'm talking about. That's magnetic energy. It's not about status or money or looks. It's about the way you carry yourself, and that's available to every single person alive, because confidence isn't built in the spotlight. It's built in the shadows. It's built when no one's clapping for you yet. It's built in the mirror when you decide, I'm done doubting myself. It's built in the small wins that nobody sees when you get back up after failing, when you keep showing up, when you do the work and believe it matters even if no one's watching. When you start showing up like that with quiet certainty, people notice. They don't always know why, but they're drawn to you. They trust you more. They want to hear your ideas. They remember your name, and that's the power of real confidence. It's not about controlling people. It's about inspiring them. When they see someone fully comfortable in their own skin, it gives them permission to do the same, and that's what creates movement. That's what builds momentum. But let me be real with you, confidence is not about having all the answers. It's not about being perfect. It's about saying, even if I don't know everything, I trust myself to figure it out. That's power. That's strength. That's the kind of energy that makes doors open. That's the kind of energy that gets you invited to tables you didn't even know existed. Because people can smell desperation. They can sense when you're begging to be liked, when you're shrinking for approval. That's repellent, but confidence makes people chase you, not the other way around. You walk into a room with confidence and suddenly people are leaning in. Who's that? What do they do? Why do I feel different now that they're here? That's not magic. That's energy. That's the power of someone who's done the internal work. Someone who stopped waiting for external validation and decided they were enough before the world said so. And when you become that person, you become unstoppable, because the world has no defense against someone who truly believes in themselves. You know why confidence is a magnet? Because it's rare. Because most people are afraid to own who they are. Because the majority would rather play it safe than stand in their truth. So when someone walks in unapologetically themselves, it shocks the system. It makes people pause. And in a world full of followers, the one who moves with certainty becomes a leader whether they plan to or not. So let me ask you, what would change if you started showing up like your presence was a blessing? What would shift if you walked into every room with the belief that you deserve to be there? What kind of opportunities would find you if you stopped begging for attention and started commanding it with your energy alone? Let me tell you what would happen. People would start listening. People would start noticing. People would start reacting differently, not because you became someone else, but because you finally showed them who you really are. And that person, the real you, is magnetic. You just forgot. So don't let doubt hold the pen anymore. Don't let insecurity write your script. Confidence isn't about pretending to be perfect. It's about refusing to be invisible. Refusing to apologize for your brilliance. Refusing to wait for someone else to validate your voice. Say less, stand taller, move with purpose. Let your walk speak louder than your words. Let your silence say, I'm not here to impress, I'm here to impact. That's how confidence works. That's how the magnetic field around you gets stronger. That's how people start going out of their way to connect with you because your presence pulls them in. You don't need to chase every room. You need to be so solid in who you are that the right rooms open when you arrive. And they will, because confidence is a magnet. And when you become one, everything you've been chasing starts coming to you. Every day, every hour, every second, people are walking into rooms, into calls, into situations that could change their lives. And what do they lead with? A dry little hello. A tired not barely. They're greeting that lands with all the power of a paper napkin. Hello might be polite. Hello might be safe. But hello doesn't move people. It doesn't open eyes. It doesn't shake the room. It doesn't say, this is someone I need to remember. It doesn't say, this person is about to bring something different. It just slides in and disappears, and you're not here to disappear. You're here to stand out. You're here to show up like somebody who knows what they're about. So stop greeting. Start declaring. When you walk into a room, that moment is not neutral. You're either taking control of it or you're giving it away. You're either making an impression or you're becoming part of the background. Think about it. In a world full of distraction, full of noise, full of people playing it safe, why on earth would you waste that first moment saying what everybody else is saying? You think anyone remembers the 50th "Hi, how are you" they heard today? They don't. But they remember the one person who came in with presence, the one who said something that actually meant something, the one who made them feel different. A declaration doesn't have to be loud. It doesn't have to be dramatic, but it has to be intentional. When you open your mouth, what comes out needs to say, I have something to offer. I'm not here to play small. I'm not here to fill space. I'm here to shift it. Because when you start declaring, when you start leading with purpose and clarity, people listen differently. They lean in, they take note, they remember, and when people remember you, that's when doors start opening. So what does it actually mean to declare instead of greet? It means you walk into a room with a sentence that means something. Instead of saying hi, you say, I'm glad to be here and I came ready to deliver. Instead of hello, you say, let's make something powerful happen today. You don't have to be over the top. You just have to be clear, be confident, be bold. Let your first words match the energy of someone who knows their value, because let me tell you something, rooms don't respond to greetings. They respond to energy, to certainty, to conviction. You could walk in and say something as simple as, let's make this worth our time. And that would still carry more weight than a generic hello. Why? Because it shows intention. It shows you're not here to get through the moment. You're here to own it. You're not walking in to be liked, you're walking in to make something happen. And here's the deeper truth. When you declare, you claim space. You let people know that you are not just passing through this room. This job, this life, you are present, you are aware, and you are in control. That's a statement. That's a choice. Most people are still out here waiting to be noticed, waiting for permission to speak, waiting for the right time to shine, but not you, not anymore. Because once you understand the power of a declaration, you stop waiting. You start showing up ready. That's what makes leaders, movers, creators not just people who say things, but people who say something with weight. People who bring a presence that starts working before they even finish their sentence. So ask yourself, what are you declaring when you walk into the room? Are you declaring confidence? Are you declaring focus? Are you declaring, I've got something valuable to bring to the table? Or are you just dropping off a quick hi and hoping someone notices you? Let me be real with you. If you don't set the tone, someone else will. And most of the time, they'll set it for you, not with you. That means they decide who you are, how serious you are, and how much you matter, all based on the weak energy you introduced yourself with. But when you declare, you flip that, you take the pen back, you write the intro, you control the narrative, you say, this is who I am and this is how I show up. Don't think for a second that you have to wait for a title or a promotion or some big win before you start speaking like you belong. The people who get those wins are often the ones who declared before they had them. They walked like they were the one. They spoke like they were the one. They didn't wait to get picked. They picked themselves. So the next time you walk into a room, any room, I don't care if it's a boardroom, a coffee shop, a casting call, or a first date, remember this. Your words carry weight, but only if you give them purpose. Don't just open your mouth to be polite. Open your mouth to be heard. Set the tone. Make people feel something. Be the one who changes the room's frequency just by stepping into it. And let me be very clear. This isn't about faking anything. This is not about pretending to be something you're not. This is about owning who you already are. You have value, you have a voice, you have a presence. But if you keep hiding it behind polite, forgettable greetings, the world will pass you by. You don't have to be the loudest. You just have to be intentional. You just have to be real. You just have to speak like someone who understands that every word is a chance to lead. Because once you start declaring, something wild happens. People start listening. They start responding. They start remembering your name. Opportunities start finding their way to you, not because you begged for them, not because you hoped someone noticed you, but because you showed up and declared, "I'm here, I'm ready, and I came to make something happen." So stop saying hello, like it's the end of the sentence. Let it be the start of something bigger. Let your first words carry purpose. Let your energy walk into the room before your name does. And when they look up and wonder, who just shifted the whole vibe, smile and let them know. That's what happens when you stop greeting and start declaring. Before you even say a word, the room already knows something about you. Before you utter a single sentence, before you shake a hand, before you give your name, people have already picked up on what kind of energy you're carrying. And that's not spiritual fluff, that's real. Humans are wired to feel energy, to read posture, to scan presence. We feel leadership before we hear it. We feel confidence before it's announced. We feel insecurity before it's spoken. That means by the time you speak, the decision is halfway made. That's why you have to own the room before you open your mouth. Let's get something straight. Your energy introduces you long before your voice does. You walk into a room slouched over, eyes darting, unsure of yourself, and people feel that. You don't need to say, "I'm nervous." They already know. You don't need to say, "I'm not sure I belong." They feel that in how you take up space or how you don't. But you flip that energy, walk in tall, shoulders back, eyes forward like you have nothing to hide and everything to offer. And now you're making people sit up straighter without saying a word. Now you're controlling the temperature of the room without touching the thermostat. That's power, that's presence, that's leadership before the speech. The game changes when you realize your presence is your first line of communication. Not your resume, not your pitch, not even your voice, your presence. You walk into that meeting, that interview, that stage, and how you enter is a statement. You don't need to wait for someone to say, "You have the floor." The floor is already reacting to your walk. And when you walk in like you know who you are, like you've already decided to be powerful, people will feel it even if they don't know why. This is not about being the loudest or the most animated person in the room. It's not about being cocky or arrogant. It's not about saying, "Look at me," every 5 seconds. It's about inner certainty. It's about showing up like someone who doesn't need to be given permission to be great. Someone who knows their value even if nobody else in the room claps for it yet. Because real presence is quiet confidence. It's power without the need for performance. You know how you can tell someone owns the room? Watch how they listen. Watch how they breathe. Watch how they stand still and let the room adjust to their stillness. People who are chasing approval fidget. They rush to fill silence. They need to be liked. But someone who owns the room doesn't need to chase anything. Their energy is magnetic. People come to them. The room shifts around them, not the other way around. And listen, you don't have to be famous or rich or in a position of authority to carry that kind of presence. You just have to decide to, because owning the room isn't about external power. It's about internal authority. It's about knowing that your presence, your attention, your energy, it all has value. And when you believe in that value, others start believing in it too. Confidence is contagious, but so is insecurity, so is doubt, so is apology. You walk in trying to prove you're enough, people can feel it. You walk in knowing you're enough, now the conversation is completely different. That's why your body language matters, not because it's some hack to impress people, but because it's a reflection of what you believe about yourself. Walk like someone who deserves to be heard. Breathe like someone who's not in a rush to be accepted. Hold eye contact like someone who's got nothing to hide. Stand like someone who knows that silence can be a weapon, not a weakness. You want people to listen when you speak, then start owning the room when you don't. Think about the people who have left lasting impressions on you, the ones who you still remember. I guarantee you it wasn't just their words, it was their presence, it was the way they held the moment. The way they walked in like they belonged there, like they didn't need a spotlight because they were the spotlight. You can become that person. It's not a personality thing. It's not something you're born with. It's a choice. It's something you cultivate, but that starts with your intention. What are you walking in with? Are you walking in with fear, with apology, with hesitation, or are you walking in with purpose, with clarity, with quiet strength? Before you walk into any room, ask yourself, what kind of energy am I about to bring in there? Because you're always bringing something. Whether it's groundedness or desperation, confidence or chaos, people feel it. You can't fake it, and you don't need to. You just need to become aware of it, own it, shape it, and don't mistake this for some performance you have to keep up. This isn't about faking a smile or memorizing power poses. This is about reconnecting with the part of you that doesn't need to prove anything. The part of you that already knows you're valuable, that already knows you're worthy, that already knows you have something to offer even if nobody says it out loud. When you show up from that place, people feel safe, they feel challenged, they feel inspired. That's what presence does. It doesn't just serve you, it serves everyone around you. Because when you own the room, you give other people permission to own themselves. You become the person that shifts the vibe, sets the tone, raises the standard, and not with a word, with your energy, with your being. That's impact, that's influence, that's leadership without a title, without a microphone, without even having to speak. So the next time you're about to step into that room, whether it's an interview, a pitch, a presentation, a date, or a conversation, stop and ask yourself, am I bringing energy that owns the room, or am I giving the room the power to own me? Because when you lead with energy, when you lead with presence, the room listens before you even say a thing. Own it. From the moment we're born, the world starts whispering in our ear, fit in, be normal. Don't stand out too much. Don't speak too loud. Don't dress too bold. Don't shine too bright. Play it safe. Blend in. Don't make waves. That message comes from everywhere: school, family, culture, media. We're trained to shrink. We're trained to adapt. We're taught to be invisible just enough to not cause discomfort. But let me tell you something with everything I've got. Fitting in is the fastest way to become forgettable. If you're trying to blend into the crowd, don't be surprised when no one sees you. If you're toning yourself down, don't be shocked when life gives you the minimum, because greatness doesn't blend. Greatness breaks through. Greatness stands out. Every person you admire, every voice that changed the world, every leader, every icon, every visionary, they didn't get there by fitting in. They got there by refusing to. They got there by standing up when others sat down, by speaking when silence was easier, by dressing how they wanted, thinking how they wanted, moving how they wanted unapologetically. They knew they weren't built to disappear. They were built to disrupt. And guess what? So were you. You were not born to be average. You were not put here to be wallpaper. You were not designed to be a copy of someone else's idea of acceptable. Everything about you that's different, everything about you that doesn't quite match the mold, everything that made you feel like the weird one, the intense one, the too much one, that's your power. That's your edge. That's your gift. And the second you stop hiding it, you become unforgettable. But standing out takes courage. It's not easy. It's not comfortable. Because the truth is, people fear what's different. People resist what challenges them. And when you start shining a little brighter, don't be surprised if some folks try to dim your light. That's not your cue to shrink. That's your signal that you're doing something right. Because comfort zones don't build legends, playing it safe doesn't change lives, and silence never left a legacy. You see, fitting in might get you a seat at the table, but standing out, that's what gets you the microphone. That's what gets you the opportunity. That's what gets you the respect, the following, the influence. People don't follow what blends in. They follow what breaks patterns, what makes them think, what makes them feel, what makes them remember. And if you keep trying to sound like everyone else, look like everyone else, act like everyone else, don't complain when you become background noise in a world full of echoes. So the question becomes, what are you holding back that the world needs? What part of you have you been suppressing just to fit in with people who don't even know what they want themselves? What voice have you silenced just to avoid standing out in rooms you were actually meant to lead? If you're waiting for someone to give you permission to be bold, this is it. You don't need validation to be real. You don't need approval to be powerful. You don't need 100 people to tell you you're worthy. You just need to believe it and act like it. Because the truth is, people don't forget bold. People don't forget the person who walked into the room and made it feel different. People don't forget the one who told the truth when everyone else was playing polite. People don't forget courage. So if you want to make an impact, stop chasing comfort and start chasing clarity. Get clear on who you are. Get clear on what you bring to the table. And then walk into every room like your difference is the advantage, not the liability. You've got a voice, use it. You've got a story, tell it. You've got a vision, share it. Don't water it down to make others comfortable. Don't play small just because someone else is afraid to play big. And don't you dare let the fear of judgment stop you from becoming the version of yourself you were always meant to be. You are not here to repeat what's been done. You are here to redefine it. And if people call you too much, too loud, too ambitious, too direct, too different, let them. That's how you know you're on the right track. You weren't made to be easily digested. You weren't made to fit in a box. You weren't made to walk someone else's line. You were made to draw your own. You were made to stand at the edge of what's been done and build something new. You were made to stretch the limits, not live inside them. The world is not changed by those who conform. The world is changed by the ones who are willing to be seen, even when it's uncomfortable, even when it's lonely, even when they're misunderstood. So stand out. Say the thing no one wants to say. Wear what makes you feel powerful. Walk with your own rhythm. Think with your own mind, and carry yourself like someone who knows the world doesn't need another replica. It needs a real one. It needs you. Let them stare. Let them talk. Let them misunderstand, because the truth is, while they're watching, you're building. While they're whispering, you're walking into purpose. While they're judging, you're growing. They'll catch up or they won't. That's not your concern. Your only job is to be fully, radically, undeniably you. And if you ever feel the urge to shrink again, remember this. No one ever built a legacy by disappearing. No one ever made a dent in the world by playing small. And no one who ever made history did it by fitting in. They stood out, and now it's your turn. You don't need to say much when your presence already speaks volumes. In fact, some of the most unforgettable people you'll ever meet never had to say a word to be remembered. That's because they carry something with them, a feeling, a rhythm, a tone, a vibe, and that vibe is so strong, so magnetic, that when they walk into a room, the whole atmosphere shifts. You can't fake that. You can't buy that. You become that. You become the vibe you want others to catch, because energy is real and it's contagious. So the question is, what are people catching from you? What's the silent message you're broadcasting before you speak? Is it confidence or insecurity? Calm or chaos? Is it fear or faith? Is it hesitation or purpose? Because no matter what you're saying with your mouth, people are feeling what you're saying with your energy. And if you want to be powerful, if you want to lead, if you want to inspire, it starts with taking responsibility for what you carry into the room. Your energy is either lifting people or draining them. It's either grounding them or making them nervous. It's either drawing people in or pushing them away. You ever notice how some people walk in and you feel peace, you feel inspired, you feel safe, you feel sharper just because they're there? That's not luck. That's not genetics. That's someone who made a decision to embody the energy they want to create. That's someone who wakes up every day and says, if I want to experience joy, I'm going to be joy. If I want to feel connection, I'm going to give connection. If I want to feel empowered, I'm going to radiate empowerment. They decided not to wait for the room to set the tone. They set the tone because you can wait all your life for someone else to bring the light, or you can decide that you are the light. You ever notice how a smile from the right person can shift your entire day? Or how just being around someone who believes in themselves can make you start believing in yourself too? That's not just personality, that's frequency, that's emotional leadership, that's someone walking in alignment with their purpose, their truth, their identity. They're not performing, they're not trying to impress, they're just showing up with clarity, and clarity is magnetic. It's so easy to underestimate the power of how we show up. We think influence is about words, about status, about being the loudest person in the room. But real power, real influence, it lives in the subtle, in the tone of your voice, in the way you breathe when everyone else is panicking, in how you look people in the eye, in whether you bring chaos or calm into high, fresher moments, in how you carry yourself when nothing's going your way. That's when your vibe speaks loudest, and that's what people remember. People don't remember every word you said, but they remember how you made them feel. They remember whether they felt seen, whether they felt safe, whether they felt challenged to grow. And all of that comes down to energy. So if you want to be unforgettable, don't just focus on what you say. Focus on how you show up. Because you can rehearse every line of your pitch, every bullet point of your presentation, every response in your interview, but if your energy is off, if your vibe says I'm not enough, or I'm not sure I belong here, they will feel that even if they can't name it. And here's the beautiful thing, your vibe is not fixed. You're not stuck with the energy you woke up with. You can shape it, you can shift it, you can decide, today I'm going to be peace, today I'm going to be power, today I'm going to be light. And you don't have to wait until everything in your life is perfect to show up that way. In fact, the most powerful energy often comes from people who have been through hell and decided to shine anyway, who have walked through fire and still show up with grace. That kind of vibe, that's unshakable. It's easy to complain about how negative the world is. It's easy to say people are cold or fake or disconnected. But here's the challenge: be what you think is missing. Be the warmth, be the light, be the encouragement, be the spark, be the calm in the storm, be the real in the fake, be the hope in the hopeless. Because when you become that, people feel it. They don't always understand it. They don't always know how to respond to it, but they feel it. And when enough of us start walking into rooms with that kind of intention, we don't just change ourselves, we change environments. And don't mistake quiet energy for weakness. You don't have to be loud to have a strong vibe. Stillness can be just as commanding as volume. Presence is not about being the center of attention, it's about being centered in yourself. When you know who you are, when you carry peace with you, when you're grounded in truth, that's when people lean in. That's when they say, I don't know what it is about them, but I feel better when they're around. That's when your energy starts to speak louder than your voice ever could. So the next time you step into a room, stop and ask yourself, what am I carrying in here? What energy am I offering these people? Because they're going to catch something from you, whether it's anxiety or assurance, doubt or confidence, joy or bitterness. You are setting the tone whether you mean to or not. So choose it, own it, become intentional about it. Be the vibe you want others to catch, and don't do it for applause. Don't do it for attention. Do it because that's who you are becoming. The truth is, when your energy speaks clarity, courage, kindness, and truth, you won't need to chase people. You won't need to convince anyone. You won't need to over-explain your value. You'll walk in and they'll feel it. You'll show up and they'll know. That's the power of becoming the vibe. That's the power of showing up full. You want to be unforgettable. You want to be a leader. You want to change lives. Start with your presence. Lead with your energy. Be the frequency that lifts others out of doubt, fear, and limitation. And when you do that consistently, authentically, unapologetically, they'll feel it before you even say a word.